Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today, I'm gonna be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Rewrite the Past. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, because I indeed have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. Links will be down in the description, so go ahead and check them out and enjoy guys. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode start, the intro. So the last part we left off, Naruto was currently at Uzu, along with Darui, as they were found once again. As Naruto was 19 years old, the war had been going on for some time now. They feel certain circumstances forced him to lose this war, and things was bad, things was really bad, given the fact that Madara was hunting them down. A lot of good men and women died coming this far, but Naruto had found a seal, where he could use it to rewrite the past completely. Return, get stronger, do something. It was better than living in this hellhole, and that is exactly what he was gonna do. Kurama told him that his consciousness will return back to the previous host that he was in, and he would not say anything until they made contact. But he wasn't sure about Naruto slapping his chakra, but he was sure that he would remember. So with that, Naruto performed the seal. The next place he woke up was on the ground, as a younger Hiruzen was there. The Third Shinobi War hadn't even started yet. As Naruto was brought to a room, Sakamoto was there, Inuichi was there, Danzo was there, and Hiruzen was there as they talked to him. As Naruto told them about the future, and that he was the unofficial 6th Hokage of Konoha, and he told them things that happened but not everything, given that he didn't want to jeopardize some things if they did not come true yet. As Sarutobi, after hearing what he had to say, believed him, as Naruto was freed from his bindings. With that, they created a story for him, saying that he was a part of the Anvu Black Ops, and he was testing a weapon. That is why that big explosion happened outside of Konoha, and he could not tell anyone if they wanted any information. They would have to go to the Hokage. So he was able to keep the information to himself, as Hiruzen was able to set him up. And with that, Naruto was moving around the village, as he saw his favorite place that was no longer there in his time, but it wasn't even named Ichiraku Ramen yet. As he went over to the stall and sat down, and his own father appeared, yes, Minato Namikaze, as he sat down with him. As Minato said that he hasn't seen him before, and he has been through Anbu a couple of times, but he never seen him before. As Naruto told him that he has been on solo missions, and he's been gone for a long while. Minato wanted to spar with him, as he must be strong, given the fact that the Hokage sent him out on solo missions by himself. As Naruto, before he could say anything though, right here blocked his vision. It was none other than Kushina Uzumaki. As Minato asked him what was his name, as Naruto said Naruto Uzumaki, and he vanished. Kushina rushed out of his stall as she looked around. As she heard that correctly, he said that his name was Uzumaki, but he was now gone. So yeah guys, that's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place for yourself. So this will be in this new episode. We start this episode off in the future. I wish Hiruzen was here. He would get this whole thing changed in no time. Yes, he would. Unfortunately, he's not. And he hasn't been around for a long time now. As Naruto sighs, he ran a hand through shaggy hair, as Darui and Kakashi was there. Kakashi was skeptical on the seal, because to begin with, they need at least hundreds of fully fledged ninjas to provide Chakra to power the seal, so he thought it was a waste of time. Their only chance of making it work was adjusting it so they could use it to empower it by a bijuu chakra. The only problem was taking too long. Their forces were getting smaller and smaller each day, and things was bad. Kakashi, do you think we can pull this off? Kakashi rubbed a hand down his face as he rested his hand on his chin. He had stopped with the mask long time ago. Well, it had felt like a long time ago. As he looked towards Naruto, who was just looking for some hope. I hope so, Naruto. I really hope so. Back to the current time. You heard what I said. He's another Uzumaki. So let me get this straight. You believe his words without any questioning. Kushina paused as she looked towards her friend. As the both of them made their way towards the training ground, it was a little past noon. So if this other Uzumaki was functional, he should have been sparring with her boyfriend for a little while now. Of course I question it. I just got caught up in the excitement of another Uzumaki being in the village. There used to be a lot of us until the second war. Everyone that was in Konoha went home to defend it, and they were killed. I just had a feeling that some of them managed to flee and somehow survive somewhere. Kushina, friend, Mikado Uchiha, looked towards her companion with sympathy. Are you still upset of not being able to go there? Of course, Kushina said. If I was there with the Kyuubi, Uzu would still be here today. We've been over this, Kushina. You were 12 years old. They would not risk you. Kushina growled, but she did not comment any further, because she knew they had made the right choice by keeping her in the village for the second Shinobi War. It was likely that Kumo attacked them for that very same reason. Granny Mito was on her deathbed, and they had to pull the Kyuubi out of her. It would take years before Kushina would be able to use a fraction of the Kyuubi's power, and Kumo must have known that. Uzu was attacked and wiped off the map in less than a week. There was no time for Konoha to get any adequate force out there to defend them. Even if she didn't know who her parents were, she saw the Uzumaki as her extended family. And now there was this blonde in the village that was claiming to be a Uzumaki, but Uzumakis mostly had red hair. Yes, there was a few with different hair colors like brown and black, and she saw a blonde once or twice. And there was also this girl with green hair. Yeah, she stand out a lot. But they were the minority, and some of them married in. It was the same thing like the Uchiha or the Hyuga. Kushina, are you listening to me? As Kushina snapped as she turned towards her friend. Sorry about that, Mikoto. I was just thinking about the past. I understand, just pay attention to where you're walking. You almost ran right into that tree a few paces back, and I wasn't going to stop it from happening. That would have been funny, said Kushina. For me, yes. But it probably would have hurt you, said Mikoto. Well, I would still laugh at myself for being an idiot. Mikoto snorted as she shook her head with a smile on her face. I can only imagine when you have kids, what kind of knuckleheads they're gonna be. At that very moment, they heard a crashing sound. A moment later, two black and yellow blur clash and smash on the ground violently in front of them. Whoa, time out, one of them said, as Kushina noticed that it was Minato. He had two 3-pronged kunai in his hand. His clothing was a mess, and he looked roughed up. As for the other one, the one that she met yesterday, he also looked roughed up as well, and his clothing was also torn up a bit. Why are we stopping, said Minato, as Naruto was the one that spoke. As Naruto chuckled, Minato's back was turned to the woman, so he didn't notice them, and he was too engrossed in the fight. If you haven't noticed, we have two innocent bystanders here now. I don't want these ladies to get caught in our crossfire. Minato snapped his head around, as he finally noticed. Kushina, I'm sorry. I didn't even... Mikoto-chan, you too. I was so focused on fighting. I haven't been able to spar like this in a very long time. It's fine, Minato, said Kushina. She gave him a quick peck. I know how you are when you fight someone that intrigue you. Minato blushed slightly as he nodded. Kushina's focus shifted towards Naruto. When he got to his feet, she realized that he was taller than all of them. Not only that, his hair and his eyes was the same as Minato, but his face was a bit more round. Those marks on his cheek, they stood out as well, but in a cute way. So, you're really a Uzumaki? As Naruto simply shrugged. Well, Hokage-sama has pretty much raised me, since from far back as I can remember. He always said I was a Uzumaki. He said that my mother was from Uzu, and she died serving Konoha. But he didn't know about my father. He took me in, and ever since then, I've been under his care since my mother died. Do you know her name? Maybe I can find out who your dad was. As Naruto shook his head, I never asked. and the Hokages never offered to me, said Naruto. I figured there was no point in wanting something I would never had or need. That's a pretty sad way to look at it, said Kushina. She could tell from his eyes that he didn't mean what he said. She couldn't quite place her finger on it, but he seemed to be too happy compared to the words that he was saying. You should ask the Hokage to tell you then. I bet I can find her. Oh really? How would you do that, said Naruto. The way he said it, it was like he was goading her. Like he knew some sort of joke that she did not. I happened to be at Uzumaki as well. Most of the information that was brought from Uzu was brought to my care. Since, as far as I know I am, or I was, the only Uzumaki that was still within Konoha. He seemed happy, but not in the way that she expected. Instead of asking the Hokage about his mother, he shrugged. Well, I'm just glad to know I'm not the only Uzumaki around anymore. Me too, she said. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? I'm 19. I'll be 20 next month, he said. You're older than me, said Kushner, as she offered him a grin. Since you're the only family I got left, I get to call you Big Brother, she said. As Naruto's face went blank, Kushner blinked. Did she say something wrong? He then burst out laughing as he dropped down to the ground, clutching onto his stomach as he did so for a few minutes. As he looked up towards Kushina's pouting face. What? She whined. I've always wanted a big brother. Why are you laughing at me? Oh, no, it's nothing, said Naruto. It's just, you were so serious one minute, and the next you start to call me big brother. I just wasn't accepting that. You seem to have rather accepted me quickly as well. She placed her hand on her hip. I will verify my story with the Hokage the next time I see him. Otherwise, I don't care. So, can I? She said. As Naruto pushed himself fully up. Sure, I would be honored if you call me that. She pumped her fist in the air before running over as she hugged him. As she was so happy. As Naruto looked towards her, she then turned. As she started to fuss over a roughly looking Minato. As Naruto smiled with his arms folded. As he didn't even focus that Mikoto was right beside him. So, you know, have a little sister of sorts. You seem pleased. But I can tell you from experience, she will be more trouble than she's worth. As Naruto turned. As he looked at the black-haired woman, probably around his age if he had to guess. Very attractive. She reminded him of someone, but he couldn't quite place his finger on it. She appeared to be amused by the interaction between him and Kushina, and her voice had this teasing tone to it. Is there something on my face? She asked. Oh, no, said Naruto. I didn't mean to stare. You just sort of remind me of someone, and I was trying to figure out who. I thought it was just Kushina. Do you Uzumakis all tend to space out a lot? Not that I'm aware of, said Naruto. Sorry again. Whatever, she said, but there was still a small smile on her face. As for looking familiar, my father is the head of the Uchiha clan. As she glanced towards the tattoo on his shoulder. So, if you're in fact Anfu, you likely see him often. That is probably where the familiarity come from. As he saw the Uchiha crest right on her chest. As Naruto couldn't keep himself from wondering though his eyes wander a bit. Too bad, he had to keep himself detached, as he didn't want to mess up the timeline. But there was nothing stopping him from being polite. Well, I should probably drag Minato back in our spar. Let's stop. It was nice talking to you. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, by the way. Oh, I know who you are. Kushina couldn't stop talking about you on the way here. I am Uchiha Mikoto, ear of the Uchiha clan. Perhaps we will speak again. Bye for now, she said, as she turned to walk away. As Naruto paled, he never met her before, but the name, he knew the name. As he realized that she was Sasuke's mother. She was Sasuke's mother. He has been checking out Sasuke's mother. That was just wrong on so many levels. Right? Time skip. Sarutobi sighs, he rubbed his forehead. As reports have been coming in about the skirmishes between rock and sand for the past week. So far, Kumo has been quiet about the entire thing. It seems that their third Raikage is not so eager to get into a war after Konoha has decimated them in the last one. Miss appear to be caught up in a civil war that has broken out. They lost their second Mizukage at the end of the second war. And there was two people claiming to be the third Mizukage if the reports were to be believed. Those two had caused the civil war to break out. Each of them had the backing of two different groups. Sarutobi had put out the asylum, the any bloodline clan looking for refuge, but so far none has come. The offer hasn't been out for that long though, and if one or two of those Mizukages were controlling information, it was not likely that he would see any of those clans here. With that in mind, he glanced towards the young man who seemed rather bored and just picking at his fingernails. Naruto, what can you tell me about this civil war that is going on in Mist that I'm hearing about? As Naruto perked up at that, so the war of the Bloody Mist starts before the Third Great Shinobi War. I didn't realize that. Bloody Mist? Is that what it's called? Hiruzen asks. Yes, said Naruto with a nod as he looked through the window. No one really knew much about it, but we do know that it lasted through most of the Great Third War. After the Second Great War, the Mist has been closed off from the other nations for some reason. Any message that we got was rather delayed, so there was no accurate message about what is going on over there. They finally came out of isolation when they got their 5th Tsuchikage, right before the Fourth Great Ninja War, but they were the first country to complete the fall. We never did get much information about them as a result. Unfortunate, said Hiruzen. As he looked over the decks, I was thinking about sending a team into Water Country to offer asylum for any clans that might be looking to escape the civil war. In fact, I already had a team in mind, led by Hatake Sakamo. What's your opinion on this? As Naruto knew that Hokage was asking about his future input. In my time, we didn't have any different clans than what we have right now, but I know why though. Are you able to say why? As Naruto frowned as he thought about it. I can't say for sure, since, in my time, when I was made Hokage, Konoha was about to be destroyed again. I never had a chance, but there was a mission that Sakamo Hatake fails, and it cost him his life. Sakamo fail? While not in the realm of impossibility, I find it hard to believe he has an impeccable mission record. Saying that he failed may not be the best way to say it, said Naruto. His team was captured during the mission. He had a choice between completing the mission and abandoning his team, but he chose to save his team and abandon the mission instead. I see, said Hiruzen. To me, he made the correct choice, but there are those that would not share the same opinion. Correct. It was so bad it led to his eventual suicide, leaving his son Kakashi all alone. Hiruzen leaned back in his chair as he thought about Kakashi, about Sakamo's son, as he sighed once more. He's been doing that a lot lately. So tell me, Sixth Hokage, what would you do? This was the third time that Hiruzen had called Naruto Hokage, because ever since, the results that he has been getting was perfect. They had gotten information about Orochimaru Labs. Hiruzen hadn't said anything to Orochimaru yet. He was stockpiling information for the future. He was hoping that somehow, some way he could change Orochimaru from going on the path that he took in the future. Is Sakamo a Jonin commander? Naruto asks. Not now. That would be split between you and Nara Kokura. Any relation to Shikaku? Naruto asks. Yes, Kokura is his mother, but she claimed that she wanted to retire soon. The second war burned her out apparently. I was thinking about who to replace her with. Let her step down if she wants and give the position to Sakamo. That will keep him here in the village. I will take on any mission that he would have normally gotten. That would keep him around here with his son. I don't know how this will change Kakashi, but hopefully for the better. Sakamo is the ally that I would like to have around when I face Tobi again, assuming nothing happened. Towards the end of the Third War, Shikaku can be promoted to what he was in my time. Hiruzen nodded. If this is a mission that Sakamo would have failed, what makes you think that you're not too valuable to perform it as well? While I'm not invincible, said Naruto, thanks to the Kyuubi's chakra and my Uzumaki longevity, I am nearly immortal and I know how to purify the bijuu's chakra and make it even stronger. Not only that, I'm a sage. Not to sound too arrogant, but I doubt there's anyone alive right now that can stop me. If I find Tobi or Uchiha Madara, or whatever name he chose to go by, I will not hesitate to hunt him down and kill him. Hiruzen saw how serious Naruto was. He was dead serious. As he slowly nodded. Very well, but I'm still sending a team with you, just in case. One that can support you, even if you don't feel like you need it. I understand, said Naruto. Good, I have some ideas. Tell me what you think of them from what you know. Time skip. As we dive back into the future. Naruto. Sakura-chan, don't talk. I'm going to get someone to heal you. Sakura exhaled, but Naruto knew that he was struggling to breathe. They were ambushed even though they were so close to their destination. Someone had to have seen the explosions from the camp. He was throwing around Rasengan after Rasengan and explosives. After they were ambushed, after Sakura got injured, he did not show any mercy to their ambushers. Normally, he will only aim to cripple, since their opponents were only puppets under everlasting genjutsu. But his rage made that impossible. Sakura was struck right through the back with that sword, running her right through. He wasn't a medic, so he had no idea what trouble she was in. All he could see was that it looked very, very bad. So bad that she couldn't even concentrate to heal herself, but considering the mission that he just finished. She was already exhausted and tired anyway. He had offered her his chakra to use, but he took more focus to use someone else's chakra than yours. Focus that she did not have at the moment. Idiot, she said, as she tried to offer him a smile, but it looked painful. Yes, I am, he said. Now hold on. I know someone had to have seen all of this on camp. We're not that far, but I don't want to risk moving you and make your injuries worse. As she tugged on his jacket. Kiss me, she said. As before he could say anything, she pulled his face directly down to hers. As their lips connected, it was almost like she came alive for a few moments, as she hungrily kissed him back. As Naruto tried to realize what he was doing, kissing his first crush, probably for the first and last time, ignoring the taste of blood. When they broke apart, he gazed down at her, as she was crying. Still, she coughed. I love you, she said. Sakura-chan, I love you too. I always have. She smiled while she tried to, as her hand fell, as he watches her life was dimming away. Every single memory of her moments with him, in the past, till this war started to flash through his mind. From all of her rejections, from all of the friendship, all of the times they spent together, from the time when he had turned her down because he knew that she wasn't being right with her feelings. Immediately after that, the war started. Probably both of them would have wanted to try something, but they could not, because the war did not give them in time. As Naruto realized her breath stopped, tears came in his eyes. He wasn't going to let her rest here. As he picked her up, no one came. When Naruto arrived at the camp, he understood why no one came. The camp was decimated. Everything was gone. For the first time since Tsunade's death a year ago, Naruto dropped to his knees and cried. He cried more than he ever had before. Back to the present time. Today was October 10th. Under normal circumstances, today would have been his birthday. But in the times of war, they didn't focus on that too much, because everyone that was not caught under the harsh genjutsu of the Red Moon cherished every day, cherished the freedom that they had. Thankfully, there was no Red Moon yet. That is why he had come back in time in the first place. The Hokage had him sitting on meeting, trying to figure out what they could change without it altering the future. As Sir Toby had summoned him to the office, with a few people, as Naruto would be taking over the mission that Sakuma would have taken, Hiruzen decided not to send any of the original members that he was planning on sending, as he was switching up the team to send some specific members who can help Naruto. If he was a one-man army as he said, he would send some members in some different areas. As he was there to gather the members, as Naruto stopped at the outskirts of the Uchiha clan, it seemed larger than you remember. Well, he never really spent much time there when he was younger, so he would know. But it covered at least 1/10 of Konoha. Even as the other clans mingle and merge the village Uchihas, they just distanced himself. He remembered hearing from Tsunade and Sasuke that the Uchihas wanted more votes in the village, but they still distanced themselves. As Naruto jumped over the compound wall, several heads shot up, but they returned to doing what they were doing when they realized he was an Anvu. The outfit itself was rather nice. He had never gotten to wear one previously, or never chose to, mostly. He liked his typical clothing back then. Unfortunately, now he was going to get away and wearing orange, as he realized that Hiruzen was not that lenient, like he was when he was older. Well, given that he was the future Hokage and not to mention the leader of an army, Hiruzen expected a much better take from him, so he had to keep up that ideal. But he had some dull orange fingerless gloves though, so he wasn't completely without his favorite color. As Naruto arrived and promptly knocked on a large house, Sasuke's house looked a lot fresher than you remember. Well, it would. The door was answered faster than he expected. A young servant girl, judging by her appearance. Eyes went wide when she saw him. He tried not to look too intimidating, but with the tanto strapped to his back and a mask covering his face, it was hard not to. Hokage-sama requested the presence of Mikoto-san as soon as she's able. The young girl nodded before she shook her head. Before she could say anything though, a voice spoke up, a male one from inside. I will talk to the Anfu, Orihime. You may resume your duties. The girl turned to offer a swift bow, before she wandered away out of sight. A man with a rather sharp features but age. The sign of age started to show on his face out there. His hair had a faint silver outline, and he walked with a limp and a cane. As he offered Naruto a faint smile, "You're here for my daughter." As Naruto quickly realized this was Mikato's father. "Yes, sir," he said. "The Hokage has requested their presence for a mission, which her skills are, specifically, useful for." "Really now? Did he tell you this?" "Sort of. I'll be the one leading the mission." The man looked him up and down for a moment, before he focused on the tattoo. "I only really know of one young man, with the same color hair as yours, and the features and your height. But he was on Mikato's old Genin team, and as far as I know, he hasn't joined Envu yet. I'm also certain I know of all the ninjas in the village. You are an anomaly." "That makes sense," as Naruto removed his mask and rested on the side of his face. "I'm one of the Hokage's personal shinobi. I'm usually out of the village on long-term operations. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. If you want to know more, I'm sure the Hokage will tell you." "Uzumaki, huh? I think I'll have a chat with the boss anyway. My daughter is with her fiancé, Fukaku." They had a reservation at a restaurant nearby. As he gave the directions to Naruto, it was here in the Uchiha compound. "How long ago did they leave? I don't mind waiting a bit to give them some time." As the man raised an eyebrow, before he barked out a laugh. "Oh no, honestly, I think it's quite the contrary. She would be happier if you showed up sooner." Naruto tilted his head to the side, but the man shook his head. "It's not for me to explain, but thank you for being polite. That is something not many are, especially to us Uchihas." "Why not?" said Naruto. You really aren't in the village that much, are you? Don't worry about it, explaining will take too much time. And you really need to go and find my daughter. We wouldn't want to keep Hiruzen waiting." As Naruto placed his mask back on his face, this man in the Hokage was on a first name basis. As he gave him a nod. "By your leave, Uchiha-sama. Call me Kagami, it's my name after all." "Very well, Kagami-sama," said Naruto, as he vanished. Kagami chuckled as he shook his head, as he closed the door. Meanwhile, Mikoto sighed as she looked at the food in her plate. She had nibbled at it to just be polite, but her appetite was completely gone. The date so far has been pleasant, but that was it, pleasant. And bordering on boring. She looked towards her fiancé, who was consuming his food with gusto. He was 5 years older than her, and he had graduated the academy at the top of his class, the same amount of time before her. He was a jonin before she even graduated, and on top of that, he was a shoin, to be the next head of Konoha military police. For what was the millionth time she was wondering why exactly was she engaged to this man. Because he was one of the premier Uchiha, that was a flimsy excuse, and she knew it. However, her father approved of the choice, and so did the Uchiha council. So their wedding was set in stone. They were nice enough to let her go on dates and choose, but still, what would their thoughts be if she picked someone that wasn't an Uchiha? The only thing that will stop it right now if she got cold feet or found someone better. But backing out right now is, well, foolish for no reason. And she wasn't a coward. As for someone better, the only person that she would have even considered was Minato, but he was already spoken for, and she would never betray her friendship with Kushina. Someone came by their table, someone Fukaku knew it seems, as he started to talk with him. Well, Fukaku was just nodding and talking when he needed to. If there was one thing that she could change about him, it would make him stop being a stick in the mud. Well, he could get the job done and do as he did as a ninja, but his personality was just non-existent. She grew up around people with tons of emotion and make her the same way, but for him, he was dull. While she grew up, her mother and father had a good relationship. She was on a genuine team with Minato and Akamichi Keiki, and they had strong emotional bondings. Not to mention her Jonin sensei was Jiraiya of the Sanin. That man was filled with character, even though it was rather perverse. Minato was a lot quieter though when they were younger. Not until Kushina got her claws in him that he started to open up. Not to mention she was best friend with the bloody habanero. Everyone in the village knew not to mess with her in certain ways, otherwise you'll regret it later. But here she was with a man who'd probably prefer that she be a housewife than a jonin of Konoha. It is almost like there was a knocking on the window that gained her attention and a few others as well. As she hoped the knocking would lead to something interesting, as she saw Anbu pointing at her and gesturing for her to come outside. Not just any Anbu, he had blonde hair. If Minato was pulling her away from her date, even if it was born as hell, they would be held to pay. Frowning, she turned her head towards Fukaku. A mission. Mikoto sighed, she gave her head a small shake. I wasn't expecting any. I would swear that Anbu was Minato, but He knew better than to interrupt us, especially if he just wanted to chat. Try to return quickly, said Fukaku, as he looked at the man in the raised eyebrow, but his face was just stony. She offered a slight shrug as she got up. She was well aware of the eyes watching her. It was not every day that Anfu came for Uchiha, especially the Uchiha ear. Meanwhile, as Naruto was waiting, her expression started from something shocked, and like she was going to beat the crap out of him because he ruined her date. He barely recognized Fukaku as well. The man's face always looked like he tasted something bad or smelled something bad, even at this young age. Most of his, time with the man was because he was always in trouble when he was younger, given that he was, one of the best prankers and always caused enough problems, and he was always caught sometimes. Fukaku chose to ignore him though because he was always in trouble, and just pawned him off on someone else to bring him home. As Mikoto did not waste time. This better be good, Minato, she said. As Naruto did not want her to start pounding him because she thought he was Minato, as he slightly moved his mask away. Of course it was breaking protocol, Anbus are not supposed to remove their masks on duty, but it was the only way to prove that he was who he said he was. First of all, I'm Naruto. Sorry for interrupting your date, but your father told me where to find you. She blushed, her posture becoming remorseful and somewhat embarrassed. She crossed her arms. Oh, Uzumaki-san, I'm sorry. I thought you were Minato. Here to brag about being in Anvu. He's talked about joining up a lot. It's fine. From just sparring with him a few times, I noticed he liked to brag. But he does it in a nice way, said Naruto. We pretty much have the same hair color as well, so I understand that you think that I was him. Hokage-sama has selected you for a mission. Meet in his office tomorrow morning at 7. Packed for at least 2 weeks minimum. A long-term mission before a war? What is the rank, she asks. It's a A rank unless Hokage specifies otherwise. I only know so much. Do you know who will be in command, she asks. Me, he said, as he vanished in a swirl of leaf, leaving her standing there. Fukaku was watching everything as he watched, as he stepped back inside. Even though he could not hear, he had kept an eye and saw the body language between them. It was obvious his fiancée was surprised and embarrassed about something at the beginning, but then she switched over to all business. It remained the rest of that way, until the Anbu left, and then she looked surprised once again, as she came back in and sat down. So? Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. I've been tapped to go on a mission for 2 weeks. I have to be ready to leave tomorrow morning. Rather sudden, don't you think? Yes, she said. I wasn't expecting it at all. But it's better than sitting around here and doing nothing. Yes, I see that village patrols aren't something that you enjoy, do you? I know they have to be done, she said, but I prefer action. We've been over this. As the man merely grunted and looked towards his food, in his mind it was rather strange. Why would he call on Mikoto of all person? She was Uchiha heir after all, and if anything happened to her, he had no idea what her father Tegamai might do. Their clan needed stable leadership, considering their past in the village. I don't like it, he said. Mikoto stopped poking their food, as she looked up. What? I said I don't like it. You're going on a mission, on what's looking like the beginning of a start of a next war. It's too dangerous here to leave the village right now, especially if you're going to be gone for 2 weeks. Her utensils dropped to the table. So what? I'm just supposed to sit here and be cuddled like a princess in the village. I'm a Jonin of Konoha. I want to help my village, not just be protected by it. His eyes went a bit wide as he realized he had hit a sore spot. He tried to find the words to change what he had said, but they weren't coming. She didn't wait for him to say anything anyway as she got up and stormed to the restaurant. All eyes were on her when she left, and then focused on him when she was gone, as he simply sighed. He knew that she was sensitive about being a Jonin, while being the only heir of the clan. Still, she had more than her own wishes to think about. What about the rest of the clan? Other than the Hyugas, the Uchihas were the largest clan in the village. There was a lot of people she would have to speak for someday. As he got the bill, as he looked over towards her food, she could have at least paid for her own meal, if she wasn't going to touch it. Time skip. As we skip back to a present in the future. What are you doing? Toby turned his head slightly, barely acknowledging. The only other Uchiha left. I'm doing what I said I was always going to do. I managed to tire out the 9-teal container, and now I will capture him. And now I will start up the extraction process soon. What? We had a deal. Naruto was my target. You took too long. I was not going to stay around waiting for you to defeat him while I sit around and twiddle my thumbs. My patience with you has grown thin. Sasuke glared towards Toby, but he said nothing further. As Toby turned his head, Zetsu, begin the extraction. After which, join us. It will take us a while. not that long if Sasuke decided to grow up and join us. His instincts screamed at him that something was wrong. Toby made himself intangible, as a Shidori ripped right through his heart with a pain. As Toby sighed in annoyance, that was the biggest liability about Sasuke. He was unstable. He was useful at first, but now he had become an annoyance. It seems like he would be the last member remaining of his kind after all. Proceed with what I asked you, Zetsu. Seems I need to teach this child a lesson. Toby warped himself away, as Sasuke was also pulled away as well. Deciding to do what he was told, Zetsu brought his hand together and started the extraction in progress. The Gedo statue glowed, as Naruto was lying on the ground, a white aura surrounded him. The minutes passed as Zetsu heard shaking above, where Sasuke and Toby was. Zetsu noticed that the chakra that was coming from Naruto was going down, slowly. But that was impossible. The Kyuubi could not be finished extracting yet. Suddenly, a bright yellow glow enveloped Naruto, before it shot and slammed into the Gedo statue. As the thing started to crack, startled, Zetsu's concentration faltered as he stopped the extraction, and it was being reversed. The reddish chakra was being pulled back into Naruto's body from the statue. There was another rumble and shake, then a massive explosion went off. He then felt a flash. As he felt the flash, the breeze, and saw the movement at the corner of his eye, the back of his neck was grabbed as he was ripped out of the ground by none other than Naruto. Apparently he was being held together by Naruto clothes. He tried to drain their chakra by skin contact, but they were resistant. What? How did... You should be exhausted. A risky gamble to find the Gedo statue, said Naruto. That's not possible. None of the other Jinchurikis were able to stop the bijuu from being pulled out of them. It's impossible, said Zetsu. It's not impossible, said Naruto. I didn't want to let go of the Kyuubi, and he didn't want to leave me. Our wills combined were stronger than the Gedo statue. I let myself get captured so I could find it and release the other bijoos. As Naruto formed a Rasengan and drive it through Zetsu's skull as he drilled away his entire face, as greenish blood and brain matter spread everywhere. It seems like your gamble paid off. As Naruto smiled the voice. Yes, Bachan, I told you, he said. Tsunade stepped forward as she looked over the blonde. She was in her Hokage battle gear, something he saw her wear once or twice. Your job is done. She's only an Ino outside, ready to check your vitals, and escort you to the Tsuchikage base camp. What? I can help? No, that's an order, she said. It was already a risk letting yourself get captured. The Raikage is here with me, and with the force that we brought, we can take care of the statue and spread the bijoos. Even destroy them as a last resort, so Toby has to wait for them to reform. That will give us another 8 years to take him down. As Tsunade looked around the cavern, where is Toby anyway? Probably somewhere outside. I heard them talking while pretending to be unconscious. Sasuke threw attention because apparently Toby went behind his back and captured me. They're likely still fighting about it. If you destroy the statue, I wouldn't be surprised if Toby killed Sasuke because of the distraction that he caused. I hope you're not going to try and stop us if that's the case, said Tsunade. Naruto waved his hand. I stopped hearing when he tried to kill me for what, the 5th time. I won't actively seek him out, but if Toby doesn't kill him and he crosses my path, I will kill him. I've already spoke to Sakura and Kakashi about this, and they have agreed. Tsunade nodded. Alright, get out of here now, that's the order. See you back at Camp Bachan, said Naruto. Go on, idiot, she said, as Naruto made his way off. Back to the present time, as Naruto was observing his support team, he only went to collect one of them, and that was Mikoto, and the third said that he would surprise him with the rest. Mikoto was easy enough to spot since he had grabbed her for the mission. Minato was there as well. His mother was there, but she didn't seem to be a part of their team. She had no backpack or gear near her. It's most likely that she just wanted to say goodbye. The other member that he saw was Kakashi Hatake. The silver-haired boy was 8 or 9 years old. But it was the hair that caught his attention. The teammates that he had heard about, Rain and Obito, were nowhere to be seen, so likely their team hasn't been formed yet. He didn't know why Hokage put Achuna on the team, but perhaps Sakumo wanted Kakashi to know him now. There was another person there, but likely Akamichi, based on his stature. He would find out soon enough though, as he listened in on their conversation. Packed enough? You really need to pack more than a few ration bars. And spare kunais, you know? His mother was berating his father on bad packing habits. No, he knew which side of the family he inherited that from. To have our old team back together, I thought stuff like this was pretty rare. Do you have any idea? That was a larger male, the Akamichi, talking to Mikoto, Apparently, they've been on a team before. Any later, I'm going to report to the third. We were supposed to have left 15 minutes ago. Crap, that was Mikato. Perhaps trying to be late on purpose wasn't such a good idea. How did Kakashi get away with this so often in the future? As Naruto flashed away and appeared on top of a building as he jumped down and walked out of the alleyway, Minato was the first one to spot him as he pointed, showing Mikato. As she scowled. As Naruto simply walked up, he would have to borrow an excuse in the future. The moment that he was close enough. You're late, said Mikato. Sorry about that, said Naruto. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way around. The Akimichi barked out a laugh. Kushina had to cover her mouth to stifle her laughter. Minato was smiling openly. Kakashi simply rolled his eyes. Mikato on the other hand looked like she wanted to cut his head off. Right then and there, she opened her mouth to say something but Naruto cut her off. First of all, I'm sorry for being late, but at the same time, it was a bit of a test. It's been a while since I had to lead a small team, and I don't know any of you that well. This was just so we can see what your personalities were like. I was here 5 minutes before Kakashi arrived, observing you all. The group was shocked to hear that, as Naruto wasn't sure why. Big brother, how can you have been here all the time? I mean, I didn't sense you at all. And I'm pretty good at sensing chakra signatures, said Kushina. Give me a second, said Naruto. You can all feel my presence now, correct? They all nodded as he stood still. Tapping into nature, he did not go full into sage mode, but the nature angel surrounded him like a blanket, completely erasing him. Kushina gasped as she looked at him with more shock than the others. You disappeared. I can see you right here, but your chakra is completely gone. That should be impossible. I can sense a small amount of chakra civilians have, but I can't feel you at all, she said. It's like you're invisible, as Naruto nodded slowly. Now they understood why he said that he was here the entire time. This was a wonderful ability. On missions, he was undetectable. But guys, be in subs right here. If you want to see the next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, thank you for the rest of what is coming your way. I hope you enjoy each and every one of them. But I'm over now. See you guys soon. Peace.